What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to give you 10 recommendations for romantic thrillers or romance thrillers, or sometimes people call them romantic suspense. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I have read, I think, my fair share of romance thrillers. There doesn't seem to be that many out there, but I feel like I've read a decent amount of the ones that are out. Now, a lot of times they can be done really well if they're like a really hardcore good thriller with romance aspects, or sometimes when it's a really good romance book and then some like twists and turns are thrown in. Either way is fine with me. I like both of those options, and I'll try and go through the list that I have for you and tell you kind of how the books fall, if they're more romance or more thriller, so that way if you read one or the other genre, you can dabble in and see what is going to work for you. Okay, first up on this list we have Too Late by Colleen Hoover. I feel like this book is definitely underrated for Colleen Hoover's work. I absolutely loved it. I think it's better than Verity in my opinion. It is definitely more on the romance side, but there are so many twists and turns. My heart was pumping while I was reading it, and there is some very dark, very dark actually, rape, drug abuse. There's definitely other things, but make sure you check out the trigger warnings so that way you can go into it with the right mindset and, you know, be prepared. I just remember being a lot more shocked while reading this book and my heart pumping so much more than when I read Verity, so that's why this one tops Verity for me. Next up we have He Will Be My Ruin by K.A. Tucker. This is a really good like light mystery thriller book. It kind of reminded me of like the board game Clue, and then it also has romance aspects thrown into it. It's not my like all-time favorite. I think I gave it 3.5 to 4 stars, but for those of you that are beginners for the thriller genre, I feel like you would really like it, and this would be a good way for you to stick your toes in and kind of get warmed up to all of it. And it has some smutty scenes, so you'll probably like those if you're a romance reader. Now, one of the elements that I didn't really like in the book was that it's about kind of this like lost art piece of art, and I don't really care very much about art and art collections, but if you are someone that cares about it, you'll probably love those parts. Okay, next up, personal favorite of mine, this is The Arrangement by Kirsten. I actually just read this in the month of August, and it was a 5-star read. Absolutely amazing. It's only 222 pages. This is the first book I've read by Kirsten, and I found her because of TikTok. So it's a good thing I watched TikTok because I got a 5-star book recommendation from it. If you haven't seen the vlog of me watching this, I'll put it right here for you guys. I did a TikTok made me read it vlog, and all of my thoughts for this book are in there without any spoilers. This is definitely a, oh my gosh, I think this is a really good mixture, like a half and half romance, half thriller, because I went into the story and I was like, wow, this actually is kind of like a drama-filled romance book with a married couple that like their life is kind of falling apart, so they decide to like date other people. What? And it just like shit hits the fan, let me tell you. Okay, if you think that you even could try to predict this book, you cannot. There are way too many twists. Like, it was like being on a roller coaster. Oh my gosh, it was crazy nuts, and I highly recommend it if you are both a romance reader and a thriller reader, and it's super dark, so maybe check out those trigger warnings. Okay, next up I have 2 more Colleen Hoover books to talk about. I have Verity by Colleen Hoover and Layla by Colleen Hoover. Verity is definitely more of a psychological thriller, whereas Layla is more of a paranormal romance. In my opinion, I think that Verity falls more into the thriller genre rather than the romance genre, and then I think the opposite of Layla, where Layla was definitely heavily romanced and has some paranormal aspects to it, but it's not like prominent, like in your face. So for Verity, I know tons of people that are like diehard fans of Verity. For me, I read tons of thrillers and it was good. It just didn't hit me the way that other thrillers have hit me. But I'm telling you, I am definitely in the minority for this one. I think it's worth checking out if you've read Colleen Hoover's work before. I think that no matter what you've read of hers, if you love her writing style, then you'll love Verity. And I think it's really great for beginner thriller readers as well. It is pretty dark, but I think it's good for you to read the twists that are in this book before you have a lot of twist thriller experience, if that makes sense. Sometimes I think if you read too many thrillers, then other people are like shocked by twists that you're not shocked by because you've seen it, you know, been there, done that. Now, Layla, on the other hand, is crazy. I have made the comparison before that if you liked Behind Your Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, then you would like Layla, because it does have a very similar theme. I can't give it away because it's kind of a spoiler in both books, but if you've read one, I think that you would enjoy the other. Behind Her Eyes is not a romantic thriller though. That's just a comparison I'm making. Now for Layla, this one is definitely, there are smut scenes. It's kind of like weird and crazy, but if you read paranormal books or romance books, I think that this would fit into your theme very much so, and I think that you would really enjoy it. I do have a spoiler vlog for that book if you are interested in watching it, and I'll try and link it up above for you guys. Okay, next up is Cruel Beautiful World by Caroline Leavitt. Now this one is a very, very, very light thriller. I thought it was thrilling. That's why I'm categorizing it into a thriller, but it's also historical fiction and romance in my opinion. It has an age gap romance, so it's like a younger girl running away with her teacher, but then it also follows other characters and their relationships, which I really, really loved. The romance in it is just chef's kiss. It is so good, honestly. And then you had that like thrilling aspect with the historical fiction, like kind of like a cult vibe, and it is just so good. It's one of my favorite books of last year. Was that already last year that I read it? Anyway, it's amazing. You need to go read it. Okay, next up we have Lost in Me by Lexi Ryan. Now this book is something I read a couple years ago, and I always forget to talk about it and tell people that it's a romantic thriller, because it is. And let me tell you, this one is heavy on the romance and the smut, and then it also is thrilling with an amnesia trope, which I really love, and so I actually really like this book. It is part of a series. I have not read the rest of the series because I am not a series girl, but it does have like an ambiguous ending, so you probably want the whole series if you are a normal series person. If you're not a weirdo like me and can just, you know, not finish the stories of any books and don't care about the ending, that's me. I also believe it is a slight love triangle, if I remember correctly, because she like loses her memory and she was like going to marry or is married to this one guy. It really reminds me of the movie The Vow, and when she doesn't remember anything, like she's actually like deciding like, oh, is this the life that I actually wanted? And I think she starts falling in love with this other guy, so it's like kind of a love triangle. It was really good. Okay, next up we have Last Summer by Carrie Lonsdale. Again, this is a thriller book with an amnesia trope that has romance elements to it, and it is kind of like another love triangle. So I feel like if you liked the previous book that I talked about, or if you liked this one, you should read vice versa, because they're similar but like way different. They have the same type of themes and like elements to them, so that's why I think if you read one you would like the other one, but this one is definitely on the more thriller aspect, whereas the last one was more romance. Last Summer also deals with a married couple, and she loses her memory, and then she's like debating like, oh, how do I trust that like the guy that I'm married to is actually a good person? Okay, then we have All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. This is a thriller book, but to me it has lots of romance elements in it because it has multiple age gap romances in it, and I love a good age gap romance. Like, let's talk about stepson and stepmother. There are tons of age gaps in here, and that's one of the reasons why I liked it, because it's not like the most thrilling thriller in the world, but all of those like taboo romances and the drama made it so much better. I again think that this is a great beginner thriller, so if you're a romance reader and you're trying to dabble your toes into thriller books, I think this is a good one to start with. Okay, last but not least, I'm actually going to put a book on here that I was not a fan of, but that most of the whole book community is. This is The Girl in 6 Eve by A.R. Torr. Now, when I read this, I gave it like 2 stars because I am just not a fan of all of the smut that's in it. I am not a fan of just like the cheesiness of it all, but I know so many people that absolutely love this book and rave about it. It is a series. This is very interesting and unique because it's about this cam girl who obviously, you know, does sexual acts in her bedroom for money. She's like a super introvert, like she never goes out. She gets all her packages shipped to her apartment door, and then of course there's like a murder, and she's like trying to figure out the murder and is like becomes a detective and like all this crazy stuff. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, I would definitely check it out because it is, you know, romancy with all the cam girl stuff, and then it also is thriller with the murder mystery stuff. So you might want to check it out because I definitely seem to be in the unpopular opinion of not liking it. That's it for this video. I hope you got some good recommendations. Let me know down in a comment if there's one that you're gonna start out with first that you really want to read, because I'm very interested to see what you thought about these books. But that's it, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye everyone.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you.